Good day, students. Welcome to our first lesson of Integrative Programming and Technologies 2. In this lesson 1, we will be dealing with a short introduction of systems integration. So at the end of this topic, we will be identifying the different types of systems integration and discover the existing businesses that uses system integration, and you will be explaining how it helped them. So first, let's tackle about the definition of an integrated system. We all know that a system is an aggregation of subsystems cooperating so that the system can achieve one or more goals. So in IT term, systems integration is the process of linking together different computing systems and software applications, both physically or functionally, to act as a coordinated whole. I do believe that we already use different types of integrated system, and we use that one in our daily lives. For example, Facebook. Facebook has or comes with different platforms. Facebook has an iOS platform, an Android platform, or even a web platform, and the data is centralized. So, in broad terms, system integration is the process of connecting different subsystems or components into a single, which is more extensive system that functions as one. This is concerning software solutions. System integration is typically defined as the process of linking together various IT systems or services or software to enable all of them to work functionally together. So this is not just a web platform that you are going to create. Of course, you need to add some other platforms or technologies, and you tend to integrate those different systems. So there are three main reasons why system integration is important to an organization, specifically on business industries. There is a need to improve the productivity and quality of their operations. We had already understand how a business could operate, how technologies help businesses nowadays. So in order for them to improve their productivity and quality of their operations, an integrated systems is the solution. That is the work of an IT expert. The goal is to integrate various IT systems within the organization and to speed up information flows and reduce operational costs for the organization. Upon planning the system that you are going to create, so it also includes the cost. And for you to be able to create or implement your system, you need to conduct a feasibility study. How feasible is this system that you are going to create? Because upon creating solution, you will be creating not just a single platform, but an integrated platforms. It depends upon what your solution was all about and what would be the design of your solution. For example, Facebook has a web platform. So kindly take or try to observe or try to analyze why is it that Facebook comes with different platforms. Why not Facebook has a web platform only? Why do Facebook create uh, an application for Android, an application for iOS? No? So system integration is not used only to connect the organization's internal systems, but also third parties that the organization operates. In our institution here in GH Cerilla State College, we had already implemented integrated systems. We have several um, subsystems such as our institution has an enrollment system, has an LMS or learning management system, has an accounting system. So those are different systems, although some of them are similar in platform, but the data is integrated. So it defined as, or it enables to connect the several organizations. GHCSC system is big. So we have different campuses within Zamboanga del Sur for us to be able to connect those different campuses as one system. So that is why naa ang ato ang um, integrated system, which is our centralized portal. Although we don't have yet a mobile platform, but we already have a desktop application that is commonly used, especially naa siya sa MATE nga offices, no? Sa main campus nga offices. Now let's talk with legacy system. When we talk about legacy system, in the context, this refers to the outdated computer systems. Even though we mentioned it or considered it as an outdated system, but until now, there are some organizations or business industries are still using legacy systems. Some of it are outdated computer systems or outdated programming languages or software that are used instead of available upgraded versions. When we talked about outdated computer systems, this means that this type of system is not on the state of the art. If we say not on the state of the art, the technologies used in these systems are outdated. Like for example, this system in object-oriented programming, here comes the user interfaces. So mas nindot ang mga user interfaces karon, but this legacy system are still using the traditional system or traditional interfaces, such as na ay mga bicolor, we can only see two colors, or navigating the system using keyboard, not mouse. So there is no button, such as this example that you have seen right now. So these also may be associated with a terminology or processes that are no longer applicable to current context or content. Thus, this create confusion. Why it is confusing? Because it is so hard for you to integrate these different systems unless this legacy system innovates. If this system innovates, and then it could lead to a scalable one, so that's the time easier na ang iyang integration. So in theory, it would be great to be able to have immediate access to use the most advanced technology. But in reality, most organizations have legacy systems to some extent. So a legacy system may be problematic due to compatibility issues, obsolescence, or lack of security support. Because there are still business organizations that prefer to use traditional one because siguro mas prefer nila ang legacy system or traditional one kay mao na ang ilahang naandan. And they are afraid to innovate their process using the in-demand technology or state-of-the-art technologies. So it's until now it's a very big issue because due to the fact that maybe some of the organization lack resources or some has issues, trust issues of investing to these state-of-the-art technologies. So medyo naka-problema sila diha. Or some of them are still using the manual system. Although they use computerized application, but they did it manually. So that's legacy system. Now, if we will be comparing and contrasting integrated system to legacy system, when we talked about integrated system, this technology has dependency. So, independent of platforms, if we talked about integrated system, so this has an independent of platforms where programming languages, database programming, and database schema and etc. They are all dependent on this databases or database schema. This means that if we talk about technology dependency, the platforms were very independent with each other. And if this platform is centralized, they are dependent to a single database system. Competitive advantage, of course, if we deal with integrated system, it's dealing with state-of-the-art technologies. So there is an advantage when we talk about competitions to other type of system, especially the legacy system. So this is the competitive advantage. Integrated system let an organization be competitive in a time in which technology is changed from time to time. Growing needs for information availability and accessibility is happen and etc. If you have already your systems analysis and design class, there you will understand more on an information system, an integrated system. Because one character of a system that must be employed or must be implemented, this system must not die as years went by. Dili siya pwede mamatay. It should be scalable aside from um, ano operational siya, functional. Dapat kung moagi na ang pila ka years, it should be dili jud dapat mamatay ang system. Unsay gimin-an ng dili dapat mamatay? This means that this system must adopt changes. If certain organization changes its policies, business rules, or vision, this type of system or solution must adapt the change. Now, when we go with integrated system, mas dali ma-adapt ang change, no? Okay. Third one, integrated system designed with consideration, modification, and evolution to meet new and constantly changing business requirements. So, as I've said a while ago, so this type of system adapts changes. When we talk about legacy system, still technology dependency because it's dependent to programming languages, database programming languages, database schema, and etc. Both integrated system and legacy system are dependent on programming languages. So mao ni ang ilahang this is their similarity because both of them are technologies, no? that is the product of a programming. But a legacy system is a standalone system. This means that the legacy system may be standalone Windows program. If we say standalone, it is not dependent to other third-party applications, meaning some or probably some of its data are not shared with other components of a computer software. Competitive advantage. So the legacy system cannot have any competitive advantages because it would be hard for a legacy system to adapt changes, or it's not a state of the art. A legacy system has following characteristics. There is a high maintenance cost, complex structure, obsolete support software, obsolete hardware, lack of technical expertise, business critical, backlog of change requests, poorly documented, embedded business knowledge, and poorly understood. A legacy system significantly resists modification and evolution to meet new and constantly changing business requirements. So a legacy system have not been designed to accommodate changes because it was designed for immediate needs. When constructed, it was not expected that it would be in service for many years. As what I had discussed a while ago, that the system that you are going to create must not die, or the service must not halt for the upcoming years. If this system does not possess changes or doesn't cater changes, this means that it would be costly to the business because they are going to create another system if there are major changes in the business policies. So medyo lisod ang legacy system. So the IT discipline, these are the IT discipline involved in systems integration. We need to consider these different disciplines, no? So I believe that you had already discussed this parallel and distributed system in your networking class. If we talked about parallel and distributed system, this is a type of system um, that is distributed or parallel. If we say parallel, this is a type of technology in which the resources or the components, like for example, hardware components of a system and software components, are then networked. So it could be there would be a lot of hard disk drives that is working together as one, and they are networked and working together as a single system. This is commonly used, especially if you will be creating servers, or if you will be researching on data centers. No, data centers in Facebook, parallel and distributed system na diha. No, because if you need to have a system that needs to have a high capacity of storage, so that's the time you will be creating a distributed system in which you will be upgrading the capacity of a certain system. The capacity, it's either the storage capacity or the process capacity, no? Pwede madaming CPU sa isang system, no? That's parallel and distributed. And all of those peripherals are networked together and working as one. Database systems. So if you will be designing a database system, such as considering a database table, or designing a database, because this is very important in systems integration, because you tend to design a database, and then you need also to consider it because this database is very important, especially on sharing data in between system. When it comes to systems integration, later on, as we go along with our discussion, especially if we will be discussing now on the last part of this lesson, so that's the time included na ang ato ang database. Software engineering, this is another IT discipline which deals with IT project management. It also deals with how does a system is developed, what would be the method that you are going to use in order for you to develop a software solution. So it follows process. There is a right process of developing an integrated system. So that is in the software engineering. Middleware integration. If we talked about middleware, this refers to the software that is in between. It's either in between database, which is the back end, and your program as the front end. So sometimes middleware are operating systems, no, utility softwares, no. Okay. For the artificial intelligence, if you are going to integrate with AI, so pwede kaayo. But since wala pa man tay artificial intelligence nga subject, so medyo maglisod ta og integrate ani. But sooner or later, our output for the integrated system must be scalable, which means that sooner or later we can integrate AI modules. Multimedia system. So if we will be incorporating multimedia elements such as adding or playing videos or playing audios or music, or there are certain animation in your system, then you tend to integrate that one. So that is one way of integration. So there were types of integration. These are the data level integration, application integration, business process integration, presentation integration, and B2B integration or business to business integration. The data level integration focuses on moving data between applications. So these are one way of integrating a system. So upon integrating the system, this is a very common system integration type because you tend to integrate the different systems by sharing or moving data between applications. Like for example, if you have this enrollment system and this one is this enrollment system has data, this one is for the cashiering, and this one is for student activities, like for example in DSA nga mga system, and then attendance system has data, and then this data is centralized, so it is saved on a single resource. So that's data level integration. It is often the starting point where a company starts to work on integration. From a technical perspective, data level integration is a relatively simple approach that is well understood by most developers. Probably at the end of this semester, you are going to integrate a system with centralized data. So, pwede kaayo ang data level integration. Mao man po ni pinaka-common. Accessing databases is relatively easy and there are several tools available and make the data sharing more accessible and faster. Also, data level integration does not require changes to the application because you already focusing on the design of your data. And the challenging part is how can you retrieve the data and how can you send the data to the applications. although the technology for accessing databases is well understood and not too tricky, the problem lies in the complexity of the database and their number. So to move the data between databases, it is not enough to be familiar with the technology. You also have to understand what data is stored. There are different types of data. It's either structured data or unstructured data. If you say structured data, those data are comes in a plain text. So you can store that one in a column and in a row. But when it comes to the unstructured data, those are videos, pictures. So probably it would be a challenging part to you that if the data is centralized, where would you like to save your images, the pictures that is sent by the user in these different systems, no? Okay, so you should be able to understand that one. You have to know when and how you can extract the data. Even more important is to be familiar with the type and structure of the destination database. It could be peer-to-peer or it could be client-server. So, must secure ang client-server good, no? Because you can implement firewall. Next one is the application integration. The application integration focuses on a sharing functionality business logic. In contrast with the data level integration, because in the data level integration focuses on data, this one focuses on shared functionality and not just pure data as in data level integration. Application integration is usually achieved through the use of the product of object-oriented programming, the APIs or application programming interfaces. This is very common nowadays because if we took a look, no, I will give you an example. Shopee is a web platform, and we do believe that Shopee is a company. And Shopee had partnered with LBC, had partnered with Ninja Van, no, Dragon Pay, is may partner sa Shopee. Um, PayPal, no? Okay. So you can pay or you can order in Shopee and pay via PayPal. And we all know that or pay via GCash, for example. And we all know that GCash is coming from the Globe company. And Shopee is a different company. This means that there are certain functionality of GCash from Globe which is shared functionality to the Shopee. Okay, so this is an example of application integration. So this is in a form of creating application programming interfaces. No? Probably the functions or methods, there are functions and methods in GCash that is shared to Shopee, specifically on payments. No? So if you will be paying using GCash, which is implemented within Shopee application, and the process is done using Shopee, not on GCash. So this means that GCash has provided APIs to the Shopee. So applications that expose their functionality through APIs programmatically enable access to functionality without using the user interface. No? So you will be able, like for example, if you will be paying using MasterCard or debit card, and your MasterCard or debit card is a land bank, or BPI, no, naman is like common system. If you are using debit cards mana. So there are APIs for debit cards that you will be using and integrate that one in your web platform, and that's the time you can do bank payments within Shopee na website. So that's some integration, no? So let's talk with business process integration. So business process integration enables non-compromise support for business processes in the enterprise where existing solutions take part in the specific steps of the business process. So it exposes the functionality as abstractions of business methods through interfaces. So it's quite similar with the application. It's quite similar with the application integration. But in business process integration, so it's within business lang, no? Such as this one, no, na existing application and then rendered service, existing application and rendered service in different stations or different departments in a single organization or business, and then this data or services are shared, no? So that's business process. So there is a business process and another business process for this one, and this data is shared. So business process integration presents the enterprise-wide information system, not just on a single site, no? Pwede pod og sa kaninga business na sila'y laing branches, no? And those branches are centralized, no? So this means that the information system interfaces are based on the newly designed architecture. However, the functionalities are not re-implemented, rather they use existing applications. So instead of creating new applications, so they tend to integrate that one. Those existing applications are just remodeled in a way that they expose the functionality of the business process tier and fit into a modern application architecture. So they save costs on businesses because they did not create a new application. They are integrating lang, no? Next is presentation integration. So this is often after achieving business process integration, we will continue with the presentation integration because existing applications are now remodeled and encapsulated on a middle tier. If we say encapsulation, this refers to the information hiding of a certain process where they expose their services through high-level interfaces. If we say high-level interfaces, this refers to the interfaces that is understandable by human, no? Pwede like for example ATM machines, no? Those are interfaces with physical buttons, no? Exposed to their services, exposed to high level interfaces. It becomes crucial that their user gets a unified view of the information system as well. Take a look at our banks here, specifically Land Bank. Land Bank has this different integration, not just data integration, but there is also a presentation integration on how they present their services. It may be in a form of ATM machines, no? ATM machine is a type of interface, has different type of interface. They have also desktop application that is or that can be found inside of their offices, no? Okay. So if we talk about middle tier, generally refers to the processing that takes place in an application server that sits between the user machine and the database servers. If we dealt with user machines, one major example for this in banks are what? The ATM machines, no? And in a database server. So the middle tier server performs the business logic. Okay? So we will be seeing with application server and client server. In the presentation integration, this results in an integrated system that provides a unified presentation layer through which the users can access the functionality in any forms of user interfaces. Okay. um, in your level, since you are already done with the Arduino, so probably you can use that one, no? um, if you will be using different implementing different sensors, no, in your Arduino, and then you'll get the data and store that one in your database, and you will also create a web platform that detects or that sends your detection sensor detect yung output ng ng sensors nyo, tapos i-send nyo through a web platform kaya naka-centralize yung data. Pwede ganun, no? That's an example of presentation integration. Because they use the newly developed presentation layer, they are not aware of the diversity of existing applications that are executing in the background. So the presentation layer also accesses the functions through standard interfaces provided by the business tier developed in the business process integration phase. Okay, so let's discuss the business to business integration. I do believe that you are already familiar with B2B, no? Especially in your e-business class. So today, the integration of applications inside a company is not sufficient. So there are growing needs to enable enterprise business integration, often referred to as the B2B integration or the e-business. So e-business places particular new challenges for an information system when a company could publish offline catalogs on its web pages. So probably it can be in the form of APIs. So a certain company would give or provide APIs to another businesses. So pwede ra gyapon. So what is expected is online, up-to-date information, efficiency, reliability, and quality. So even well-known names from traditional business cannot expect that their position will be maintained in an electronic business environment without the effort, no, in the business to business integration. Hey, so this is just your task. You will go to the internet and research on the businesses that use integrated systems. Then you'll have to list at least 2 businesses and describe how their system works or how it helped their day-to-day operation. For example, if you will be have some research on Lazada, Shopee, or banks, Land Bank, no? Land Bank, they are using no what type of integration, no, na as I had presented to you a while ago, that naapod sila presentation integration, no, they have also the data level integration, no? Okay, you will explain also the structure of their integration system and tell what type of system integration does their company uses. For example companies: Lazada, Shopee, GrabFood, Jollibee, no? Okay, so you will be take some research of these different companies, but you'll have to research at least 2 only, no? Then the task sheet will be posted in the Google Classroom. Okay, so if you have questions in regards with these lessons, you'll just have to comment this one as I will be posting this. You will have to put a comment on this one, and then I'll be answering that one via reply in this Facebook group. Okay, so thank you for listening, and see you on the next lesson.